The XboxEra podcast is powered by you, and if you want to support us, you can do so via Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra. And as a thank you for your support, you get cool stuff and we get to keep doing what we do. Now let's get into it.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 103, I want to say, of the XboxEra podcast. As you can see, John's not hosting today. Nick, I am your host. And joining me today, thankfully, to fill in the gap is Abe, aka Mother1 on Twitter. Please give him a follow. Abe, how are you, mate?
I am really good. Thank you for having me on your organic and virtuous podcast.
Yes, very organic and very virtuous. And of course, we have Travis's brother in the producer chair behind the scenes. Say hi, Travis, brother.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well.
I hope you're not muted, because last week you were muted for the first half of the show.
Oh, no, I even showed my face, but I should definitely be heard.
Okay, good. Hey, been, Abe? Good?
Yeah, been good. Life's busy, but I think that's just I think we all kind of are jugglers these days, and but other than that, yeah, no complaints, man.
No complaints at all. I have complaints. I'm frustrated.
I keep my complaints off of podcasts. Let's just say that.
Okay. I don't know. I have complaints. I have a few. My team lost last night in the footy. So good old Collingwood, one of our patrons, probably was there or watching it too. It was a very heartbreaking loss. But I've lost a bit of faith in humanity this week. I have issues. Two issues. Issue number one is the slap heard around the world. Like, I know we're late to the party because, like, in social media circles, 1 week is like 6 months in the real world. So it's like old news now. But just seeing some of the reactions to Will Smith's slap, I'm like, I'm losing all faith in people. I'm losing all faith. Like, seriously.
So, Nick, I think the problem is that you had it up until last week. So I think that's maybe where you and me differ.
I don't know, man. Like, maybe it's because I'm old, right? Well, but then we're both old. Aren't you a bit older than me?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So I feel like maybe I'm not as desensitized as young kids are these days and don't find a slap at the Oscars on national television odd. Like, I'm just like, I don't think the gravity of this is hitting people. Slap someone on national television in front of billions at the Oscars. Like, there's no justification for that. There's just none. Like, I'm staggered by the reaction. And I'm glad. It's turned out most of the world is actually against Will Smith on this one, which I'm completely okay with. And he has also now just quit the Academy. So I don't think he'll be at the Oscars ever again. But I'm just like, wow.
Well, see, Nick, as somebody who lives in America, we've had
America.
I mean,
America.
We've been desensitized to like everything, and I won't get into that. But I would say over the last, I don't know, 6-7 years. Like nothing shocks us on our news these days. And to me, I saw a slap and I'm just like, oh, that's a meme. And then I just went out in my life. Yeah, that's it. That's
really.
It didn't affect me at all. I was like, did it really happen? You know, and I threw out.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's it.
No, like I was outside hanging out clothes, and my wife goes, Will Smith just hit Chris Rock and screamed at him and told him to get his wife's name out his effing mouth. I'm like, what? I'm like, was it a bit? I'm like, were they doing a bit? She's like, I don't think so. I think it was real. I'm like, no, it had to be a bit. Sometimes they do bits at the Oscars. Are you sure it wasn't a bit? She's like, no, I don't think it was a bit. And I'm jumping on Twitter and I'm looking for footage and I'm like, what the hell just happened? Like, how is this a thing? Like, we're grown adults. Use your words. Like, Will Smith could have gone up there, taken the mic and gone, this joke's not on. Chris Rock knows my wife has a medical condition where she's losing her hair. He also made a Netflix documentary about how important hair is in black culture, yet still decided to make this disgusting joke about my wife. And that's not on. And then Chris Rock would have been standing there like, what an idiot. And everyone is on Will Smith's side. The rest of the world is on Will Smith's side. When now he's turned Chris Rock into a hero. Everyone's on Chris Rock's side now. And he made that really crappy joke. He shouldn't have made that joke. It's a garbage joke to make when you know the context behind her condition. And he made that documentary about how important hair is. Look, it was a dumb joke to make. But that doesn't justify what Will Smith did. Like,
no, it doesn't.
You're a grown man. You're a grown man, dude. Like,
it doesn't justify anything, but I just think that you know, like I said, over here in America, that is way down the list of my things that if I were to get it on a soapbox and start complaining about, you know, start to pick out things to complain about in society that we've seen over the last few years. That is so far down the list. It is just, that's between two rich guys.
It doesn't register.
It doesn't register. It doesn't. I didn't feel a thing. I thought it was funny. I mean, I thought the memes were funny. I don't want to say the situation.
Oh, the memes were amazing. The memes were amazing.
Like, thanks for the memes, guys.
We even got an old school remix. Remember how remixes were a thing? Like remixes were the memes before memes. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
And we even got an old school remix, and that song sounded amazing with the slaps and all the unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable.
There's probably a few of them, you know. But yeah, we know Will Smith. You know, he's been here before. The last time he had to go live with his auntie and uncle in Bel Air.
Got into a little fight. His mum got a bit scared.
now he's scared all of our moms, and so
yeah, that's right. Just man. But let me ask you something, Abe. Are you a Starfield fan?
Oh my God.
You're a fan of Starfield, Abe? Would you call yourself a fan of Starfield? I mean, you've played it, right? You've played Starfield, so you're a massive fan, aren't you?
I see what you're trying to do there, Nick. Why don't you elaborate, and then we can talk about it.
Oh my God. So, Lost Faith in Humanity Part 2. I put out what I thought was a super innocent tweet, you know. I just saw a very odd headline from Game Rant. They put out a tweet with an odd headline that just said, Bethesda thinks Starfield fans are going to lose their minds when they play the game. And I just saw that headline. I'm like, something stood out at me as a bit of a, I don't know, grammar Nazi and someone who sort of likes things said properly. I'm like, Starfield fan? What Starfield fans? The game doesn't exist yet. How are there Starfield fans? There's Bethesda fans, and they're super, super excited for Starfield. Anyone who's watched this podcast has heard me say that I think Starfield's going to be huge. Even though I've got no interest in it, I think Starfield's going to be the next big thing. Just a hunch.
Mm-hmm.
But how can you be a fan of Starfield? You haven't played it. You haven't seen gameplay. You know basically nothing about it. You just know that a studio you really like is making it. So how can you be a fan of it? And man, what I thought was a very innocent nothing tweet became this thing, and people were getting angry, and Xbox fans took it as an attack on Starfield, even though the point wasn't Starfield. The point was, it's a new IP without a game. How can it have fans? It's not possible. And then PlayStation fans were using it to dunk on Bethesda and Starfield, and I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, all I was trying to say, it's like, and this other weird phenomenon took place where all these people were like, well, what about Elden Ring? I'm like, I don't care about Elden Ring. I don't care about From. If I saw an article that said From thinks Elden Ring fans are going to love Elden Ring, I'm like, well, there's no such thing as Elden Ring fans. Elden Ring doesn't exist yet. They're From fans. Like, am I taking crazy pills here? Like, I don't understand.
Well, I think you're playing semantics, or that's what this is.
It's 100% semantics.
Yeah, but the thing is, those semantics corrections were used in the fuel of the console wars. So that's just the thing. When you say something on Twitter, there is groups of people that look at everything in the context of a narrative war. And so you help feel that. So you help. This is the most popular. Looking at the bright side, Nick, this is the most popular you've ever been with Pegasus Nation. And so you should. I doubt that. I doubt that. I bet you we have Pegasus Nation watching the show now because of that. I bet you increased your audience.
That. They hate my guts. Anyone who loves PlayStation absolutely hates my guts. There's a certain Discord that I know for a fact does. But like, it's like, as an example, right? Pick a director that you love. Pick a director you love. Steven Spielberg? James Cameron? Christopher Nolan?
Denis Villeneuve.
Nolan's good. Yeah, Nolan's good. I'll take Nolan. Yeah.
You have a director you love. Now you hear that director is making a brand new movie. It's not a sequel. It's not based on true events. It's just a brand new original movie that director is making. And the movie's called Purple Water Bottles. Okay? Now, you're not a fan of Purple Water Bottles yet. You haven't seen the movie, have you? You're a fan of Christopher Nolan, and you love all the movies he makes, and you're excited about Purple Water Bottles, but you haven't seen Purple Water Bottles, so you can't be a fan of it yet. The movie could suck. You could hate it. Like, people could wind up hating Starfield. Starfield could be another Fallout 76 for all we know. We know nothing about Starfield outside of some leaked screenshots and concept art. You can be fans of what you've seen. You can like the concept art you've seen and you think it's promising and you think it's exciting and all those other things. But you're not a Starfield fan. You haven't played the game yet, people. You haven't played it. So, yes, it's semantics. But the beauty of being technically correct is that technically correct is the best kind of correct. There's no such thing as a Starfield fan. Starfield doesn't exist yet. Get over it. I'm not telling you. I saw a bunch of people being like, well, can't people be excited about Starfield? Yeah, you can. Be super excited about Starfield. Starfield looks like it's going to be a cool game. You're just not a fan of it yet because you haven't played it. Because you might play it and you might hate its guts. You might hate the game's guts. And then what happens? You still a fan because of concept art? Still a fan then, or are you just going to flip-flop? Like, nah, man.
Well, so just for some background, and Nick, I think you know this. Like, there's people that have been excited about it, and then there's an audience that keeps jumping out there and saying, "Oh, you can't be excited about that. You don't know anything about the game." And you know, and like you
excited.
said, yeah. So I think you're on the same page as most of those people. It's just that. I think it's just the way they took it, right? They think that they read by what you were saying that you can't be excited for the game, which is not what you said. It's that
no, it's not what I said at all. Be excited, and that's what I mean. I guess that's how you know if someone's watched the podcast, because if they had watched the podcast, they would have seen me say, "I think Starfield's going to be huge. I think it's going to be the next big thing." I have no interest in it, but guess what? It's going to be on Game Pass, so I'll probably give it a try. And guess what? I might become a fan then. I might play it and I might like it, and then I'll become a Starfield fan. That's how it works.
So speaking of that, did you ever become an Elden Ring fan? Are you still playing that?
I did not. I am struggling to go back to that game. And the problem is that Kirby has taken almost all my attention away because I'm loving Kirby. Kirby's great. It's very easy, and that's okay. I like as you all know, I like my easy games. I'm nothing if not consistent. If a game's easy, I'm there for it. But yeah, and obviously now Fortnite's no build mode is taking a lot of time. Man, did you see how quickly Epic made that permanent? It was only supposed to be temporary, the no build mode. And then they're like, oh wow, there's more people playing Fortnite than ever before, and everyone's like super, super happy building is gone. Maybe they were right all these years when they were saying that building sucks and we should get rid of it. Have you played it at all with no build?
No, I am not. I've never been a Fortnite guy, but it was because of the building. I watched that stuff and I had no interest. Plus, I was playing. Plus, I'm a Halo whore, so I mean that's where I usually put all my time in. But it does bring up a good good point about how quickly things can change, because I was in a chat with a bunch of buddies just a couple nights ago, and they were talking about jumping back onto Fortnite, and they were like, these are guys I play Halo with, and and they're talking about jumping back on that. And I think it does show like how quickly these like live games can evolve, and we saw it the first time, right? So for anybody that ever says, I just bring that up because anybody's saying that Halo's dead or they screwed up, it's like, no, you just come out with the mode people talk about and you're right back in there, right? That's all it is. Yeah. And then people start talking chat,
because here's a little secret about Fortnite. It's actually a rock solid third person shooter. Feels great to play. The gunplay is incredible, and this is why people have been crying out for a no build mode for so many years, because the game is so good to play, and then the building just gets in the way of it. Like, it's just this. I understand that it's Fortnite's point of difference. I get that, and I also understand that that's why Epic have been so hesitant to get rid of it, because it's Fortnite's point of difference. But the problem is that the game feels so good and the building just gets in the way of that, and it ruins the experience. Like, and we've talked about accessibility many times on this podcast. Removing the building actually makes Fortnite more accessible. My 6-year-old son now wants to play Fortnite more because the people he's shooting can't build hotels, which he can't cope with. He's 6. He knows how to point and shoot, but he's not going to bother learning how to build. And when he suddenly sees this hotel appear, he's just like, whatever. When now he can shoot people and they can't build a hotel to protect themselves. So he feels better. Like, he now goes more into it. So they've actually had more people playing it because of the building. It's so many people now that I know that are like, man, I'm going to start playing Fortnite again now that zero build is there.
I'm still not a battle royale guy, though. I don't know. It just takes a level of
Halo's going to get one, mate, so you better start liking it. You guys don't have to believe me, but Halo's going to get a battle royale. It's going to happen.
I think it's going to get a big mode. And it might be a battle royale, but I'll still be playing things that I can jump right back into the game. That whole like creeping around with no weapons or I don't know. That's just, I don't have the patience for that.
You usually get weapons pretty quick in battle royales. My thing is that, because, I mean, we may as well talk about Halo anyway, because Halo's had that, didn't they just put out a sort of kind of update? You two would know better than me.
Yeah,
they just put out a kind of update?
They put out a book yesterday online with all the issues or all the feedback they've gotten and what they're doing. And it's addressing everything except for the progression and cosmetics and all that. So they're going to do that next week. But yeah, they threw out a lot of updates for what's coming down the road or how they're handling the feedback.
Ah, okay, good. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, Halo's a weird one. Like, because I don't know why in the last week or so I've seen a lot of people, I don't know, is it because of the TV show? Like I find it odd that, and I don't know if you guys address this, but So, by the way, I've seen the Halo TV show. Thought it was okay. Not a bad first episode. Like, there's something there to work with. It was cool seeing myself on the big screen. That was enjoyable. It's funny. We were watching it, and my wife's like, "He really does look like you, doesn't he?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's actually kind of creepy how much he looks like me. It's actually like really weird how much he looks like me." But when I saw, and this is what worries me about 343, right? So they're the overseers of Halo, of the franchise, not just the games, of everything. They're involved in the TV show. They're involved in any potential movies. They're involved in books. They're involved in all of it. So when I saw that update and I see, Halo TV show stuff's probably going to come to the game, I'm like, where you been? You guys knew that TV show was coming.
So the issue on the UMA Halo show, we figured the issue really does come down to how much of this show and the game were both delayed in the sense. And show was delayed could be very much in we just need to get this out mode, and they're getting a season 2. The game's going to be around a long time. So
apparently you sound like a robot.
Promotion later.
Apparently you sound like a robot. I'm seeing it in the chat. Everyone's like, you sound like.
Yeah, let me get rid of that Firefox. I was trying to show off the show.
And me too. Everyone's like,
We all sound. Oh,
right.
no.
It happened when I opened Paramount Plus.
Okay. So do we still
How do we
sound like
now?
robots? I'm seeing so much of the.
But it sounds fine.
Yeah, it looks like we do.
Let me see.
Hold on. Yeah, it looks like we do. Okay, we sound okay now.
Yeah, it was when I closed Paramount Plus. Fuck you, Paramount Plus.
All right,
God.
so we're good now. All right,
We're good now. But
we're back to normal. All right,
my thing was, like, you guys know that the TV show is coming. You know more than anyone that the TV show is coming. You're also making the game.
Mm-hmm.
How is it possible you didn't already have this stuff ready to go to coincide with the show coming? And more than that, Master Chief has been in Fortnite, correct? Why would you not put him back in the store just in time for the launch of the TV show? Why wouldn't you organize with Epic to get the Master Chief back into the Fortnite
Is
store?
he not in the store anymore? I didn't even know that was a thing.
No, they come in and out. They rotate them in and out. Why? Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't put the Chief get him rotated back in time for the TV show to do some more marketing. Like, just
It could be.
I don't know.
It could be the timing.
I'm sorry, but 343 feels so rudderless to me at times. They feel incredibly rudderless. It's just, I don't know. I understand delays. I understand issues. I understand this, that, the other. But everyone has that. All studios have that, whatever. There's a basic level of coordination that needs to be happening here with a property that you oversee. A very big property. One that's quite important to Microsoft. And it's just...
Yeah, how important do you... Like, I don't know. Like, I'm looking at it like... and I hear like a lot of the feedback. Obviously, Sol gives us the update on what Reddit tells us every week, and so we're very well aware of like the Halo fans outcry and everything. I guess I just take a little bit more of a like I step back and just kind of realize, okay, you brought Staten in like months before the initial date. He probably. It sounded like they prioritized certain things, and it's like, let's just make sure that whatever we do hit, is not buggy and glitchy and everything else. And I think I think there's just a list of priorities, and matching up with the show to me is not even like with the game. I mean, that's kind of like that's such a peripheral thing. Like I don't feel like even amongst the people in the community that are very hard on 343 these days, I don't think that's a big thing on their list. Like, right, that's probably just not at the top of the priority list. And if they did get behind, if there was anything, like maybe it was in the pipeline, but then there was just like, you know what, like this isn't the most important thing, we need to, you know, prioritize all this other stuff. And I'm looking at that list, like we were looking at that list yesterday, and it was like, all right, we need a week to like digest this, because there's a lot of things, you know. And I think to the people that play the game, the show is kind of like, it's out there. Some of them, you know, are staying with it. Some of them aren't. And I don't think that the two are going to, for now, impact each other that much. So that's just my opinion.
No, but it's not about the impact per se. Like, I understand that the two things won't impact each other. But to me, and again, maybe this is just, I have a weird way of thinking. To me, it's a statement of how in sync you are as a studio. It's a statement of how organized you are. It's a statement of how coordinated you are. Oh, yep, cool. We've got a TV show happening. Yep, we've organized Master Chief in Fortnite. That's going to release just before the TV show to give that little bit of a marketing bump. And yep, we're going to have the skins ready for the multiplayer. We're going to have a Halo TV show event in the multiplayer where you unlock a bunch of skins that relate to the show. And it just shows that you're handling things. It shows that you're coordinating. It's not about the impact. It's showing that you know what you're doing and you know how you're handling this franchise. And just me as a person, you know, we were talking before about Starfield fans. I'm a Halo fan, but I'm not really a big 343 fan. That's the other way it can work. Because the sad part is there's so much about 343 that I love what they've done with Halo. Like, I think 343's Halos are the best feeling Halo games. I think they feel far better than Bungie's. I think 343 have made the best looking Halo game in Halo 4. That is the best looking Halo game there is. I understand that in the moment, it's not going to be the best looking Halo game in the future, but I'm saying for its time and the hardware it was on, Halo 4 is undeniably the best looking Halo game. It looks incredible even now in the Master Chief collection. It looks amazing. So there are good things 343 has done. My issue is they just don't seem to be able to manage this franchise very well as a whole, as an IP. Not just the games, just as an IP. They don't seem to be handling Halo very, very well. Why isn't Halo Spartan Strike on Xbox? I know that's not a big deal. I know, but it goes further to my point about being coordinated and being in sync and knowing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Why would you have this one random little twin stick Halo game not on Xbox, but everything else is? Spartan Assault is. Like, it's just, I don't know. They're frustrating me. 343 are frustrating me.
I think it's fair to say that they're not all in sync right now, and I think it's fair to say a lot of AAA developers weren't in sync over the last couple of years. And you know, and yeah, they switched out the leader of the entire game. I mean, Staten isn't the studio head, but he is the game head. Like, everything goes up to him, right, on the game. They switched out the leader of the game months before its original release date. So obviously things weren't in sync, you know, and I think anybody kind of just heard behind the scenes, they had issues with the engine, but yeah. So yeah, they've had challenges. And I think even some of that stuff came out, you know, by Schreier, like he put out some stuff, you know, like right when the game released. It's like, yeah, they had all these things. And so I you know, I do think there is a sense to me that they've been kind of like reorganized. This is just my impression. When I listen to kind of Staten talk, it's like he doesn't really focus on all the negative stuff as much. We know it exists, but he kind of paints a picture of yeah, we're getting things organized. We're trying to get things set up for the future. And so I don't know what situation he kind of came into. So I think it's only fair, like for myself, and I get like fans don't need to be understanding. Fans are just, you know, consumers just it's not our problem, right? But so the average consumer, but as somebody who like I think is a little bit tries to be closer to the situation, I would say that it's fair for people to wait and see what happens once they do start to get things, on track. And we know they're hiring right now, and and they 343 had a lot of contractors, they had a lot of changes with leadership, and that so you can't say it was smooth or say it was all going well, but could they get it together under State Now? I'm giving it a chance, and I think they have a really good foundation. And I think we'll probably know more like when season 3 comes around, like when we see Forge launch, when we start to
Co-op.
see, like when we start to see that stuff coming down. If things come in on fire, like it's a year later and it's still things look like they're herky jerky and messy, and then I think it's fairer. But I think for now, the community probably like. We know 343 hears all the feedback. They made it clear in their update. They pretty much addressed every complaint Reddit's had about them when it comes to the aspects that they were covering. And so we know they're hearing it. So I think for me, I think it's fair to give them a shot to try to get in order the things that were out of order, which again, like we know they were out of order. Otherwise, you don't need to change. You don't have leaders change multiple times down the home stretch of a big AAA IP and say that everything is just like hunky dory, right? Yeah. So, I mean, it's fair. I think both can be fair though. I think you can be fair to say it looks like they still haven't got it together yet, but it doesn't mean they're not doing the right things. Right. So we'll know more of that in time. So
it's funny. I've sort of ruined it now, but we actually got a community question about this from K Forever. He basically alluding to what I was talking about. He goes, so I just saw this article and was honestly mortified for Halo Infinite moving forward, and he's linked an article about the Halo TV show content. Now, I could go on a tangent about how bad the show is and how it shouldn't have anything to do with the games, but I don't want to bore or upset people. Your thoughts, panel? Well, we just sort of covered our thoughts, especially me, about how I just think they're not all that coordinated. Having said that, we did get Halo content in Among Us. So there's a little Master Chief character in them. I think I don't know how you get it. I think you have to log in or do something, but they've put the Master Chief in Among Us. So that's something. Weird that they could organize that, but then didn't get the Chief back in the Fortnite store again.
For some reason, I think the development time on that doesn't look like it's that intensive.
It's just I don't know. Anyway,
just play the game and you automatically get it.
Okay. I thought so. I thought that's what it was. Well, my daughter plays Among Us, so I'm going to tell her to play it. Super chat. Drawn TJ. $5 super chat. Hi, guys. I'll listen later or tomorrow. Just relaxing in the hot tub after a workout. Have a fire show. Hot tub would be nice right now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be really nice. Good. Especially here in Michigan, where it's still cold. It's still winter outside.
Yeah. So, Abe, something very interesting. Few weeks back, I think it was only a few weeks back. I think I can't remember if it was on. I think it was on a Rumourmill where I talked about the current plan with Microsoft was there would be a May show and a September show. Like 2 days later, ESA sends out a bunch of emails. E3's on. And all of a sudden, it could be that there was a shift in those plans. And it's like, well, no, Microsoft's going to do an E3 show now. And I'm like, well, what do you do? The timing of that sucked. The plan at one stage was May and September. Only a couple of weeks later, after saying E3's on, E3's now cancelled. Like, what? So all of a sudden, I've had people straight away being, oh, well, hold on, does that mean the May show's back on? Guess what? I asked my source the exact same thing. Is the May show back on now? They're not sure. We're trying to find out what the plans are. But Geoff has looks like he's kindly taking over the June gaming show duties from E3. Not sure how I feel about that though.
Yeah, I think I know how I feel. I mean, I don't expect E3 to ever return the way it did, but I think it for these companies, it's just especially for for Sony or for some of these other companies that it doesn't make sense for them to do this one giant show and try to go head to head with especially as Microsoft's stacking up the studios. I just feel like it just makes sense for these companies to try to do their own things at their own times and they own the mind share.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer that as well. Like, if you're not going to have the traditional E3, like, I understand E3 as a concept is a bit antiquated.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. In today's world, the premise and E3 and concept of E3, as we all know it, is a bit antiquated because, MVG made a good point. So I quote tweeted Luke Plunkett, an Australian video game journalist from Kotaku, because he was like, Jeff Keighley's thing is a bunch of ads. And I'm like, dude, E3's a bunch of ads. Like, to us, the people that watch it, people that watch it, not the people that go.
Right.
For the people that watch E3 on YouTube or Twitch or whatever, E3 and Jeff's stuff are the same thing. It's a bunch of ads. You're being shown trailers for games. They are ads. That's all you see. So it's exactly the same thing. But then MVG jumped in and made a good point. He said, well, no, E3 is a trade show. And for us that go there, we make connections. Games get signed at E3. Publishing deals get made at E3. Which is a great point. But I was more taking the stance of all of us that watch it on YouTube or Twitch. Like, it's the same thing. It's ultimately just a bunch of ads. So I'm not going to knock Geoff for that. My thing is more, I didn't like Summer Games Fest last year. It felt disjointed. It felt uncoordinated. It felt, I don't know. It wasn't it for me. I'd rather, if E3 is not going to exist, which is like, okay, fine. It's sad because we all grew up with it. It was exciting. Again, it is very antiquated. It's an old school thing.
Yeah.
If you're not going to have E3, then let everyone just do their own thing. Let everyone have their own shows when they want to have them, their state of plays, their Nintendo Directs, their Inside Xboxes or Xbox Games Showcases, whatever they want to have. EA Play, let them all do it when they all want to do it. Because in the end, if you think about how gamers' trademark copyright work these days, it's actually probably better if you spread it out across the year. So there's always something going on, rather than everyone just waits for June. And like between June and June, there's nothing going on. So if anything, it's probably better to spread it out.
Well, and for the developers too, right? Like you don't
and
have
for
this
the developers.
You don't have this arbitrary date in the middle of the year. Like I'm sure a lot of people who are Xbox fans have probably seen like the Halo 2 development video where it's like they spent so much time and resources just trying to get a demo up that was wasn't even using the game engine. It was like basically it didn't help them with their actual development at all. And so but that happens a lot, right? And I'd say the flip side of it though, I think it would be nice to have a thing that draws all the companies together and draws the communities together. Because one of the things on my bucket list that it doesn't look like I'm going to get to do was to go to an E3, right? Like, it would be cool to go there, meet people from the communities, and just kind of feel that energy once, and then you get all that. The one cool thing about that is it does bring kind of everybody together, right? And then you had, even if you're an Xbox dude, you watch the PlayStation stuff more. If you're vice versa, and I think that gave him a chance to kind of branch out. So I don't know if
he actually just put out a tweet that kind of goes into the whole this year versus last year thing, where it was very spread out. And he put out a tweet that says, the part of it is we're working hard to bring the entire industry and fans together in the month of June. So just saying that.
So he's just trying to replace E3.
Yeah. So if he's replacing E3, keeping it tight, I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't mind that.
Yeah, and the one thing I will give Keighley credit for, I know there was like back and forth on him personally, but I look at where his Game Awards show was, like say 7 years ago, where was I can't remember when he started it, but like I remember there was like that. Yeah, that disaster one he had with God, who was that comedian that was sitting in there with them? The time they
Oh God.
You know what I'm talking
I know
about.
exactly who you're talking about. But he's got one of those forgettable names. If someone in the chat can remind us, what is his name? He's this comedian that
It was
doesn't
so
read the
cringy.
room very well.
Yeah, it was such a cringeworthy show. It was so.
He was making fun of everything. He was making fun of everything and everyone.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's killing me now that I can't remember his name.
But I think the gist of it, for anybody who's watched Keeley shows over the last few years, it's Joel McHale. That's who it was.
Joel McHale. Thank you, Winter Shoulder.
Yeah, he was awful, by the way.
Joel McHale. Yes.
He was just absolutely terrible during that Game Awards show.
Great.
But I just see how many steps he's taken. It seems like every year he's got it a little bit better, and so the trend is good. So I have to.
I mean, he's influencing the Oscars now.
Yeah.
Seriously, he's influencing the Oscars. The Oscars went and put a bunch of unimportant awards and gave them out before the show started, which is kind of disrespectful, if I'm being honest. I don't like that Geoff does that. And then they had movie trailers during the Oscars, and it was just it's like they've been taking notes, because remember, viewership on the Game Awards far outstrips the Oscars. It's not even close. Or at least in the US anyway. And just, it's clear that they've taken some notes from Geoff, which is a pretty big compliment for him to be paid, that the Oscars have taken some cues from him.
So let's see. I would say Phil Spencer's he's on the ESA or whatever. So if that stuff goes away, maybe they can work with Keeley to try to reimagine what E3 was, right? They could. And if there's a possibility of that, and if Keeley is the way to do it, I mean, I know people in the Xbox community feel a certain way about him sometimes, but I think that he's shown that he can do a good job organizing these shows. And I think
they did work with him. Last year's show was a part of Summer Game Fest, and he hosted a pre-show and stuff. They are very happy to work with him.
Yeah, I think he's shown that he's malleable, and and Xbox has leveraged it, right? They leveraged the Game Awards pretty well for marketing, and I would expect them to continue to do that. So I think that could be that. So we'll give that a shot. So maybe E3 is dead in the way we used to know it.
Traditional form.
Yeah, but maybe it's reborn. Maybe there's a spiritual successor to it. So I would still keep hopes out for that. And because of that, I would say if this is all just sort of happening and it wasn't known for a while, then I would guess, and this is just a guess, maybe Microsoft is all right, well, let's go talk to him and figure this out. And, maybe whatever
were weeks apart.
Yeah, I know. That is weird.
How do you go from emailing saying E3's on to a few weeks later saying E3's off? What? How does that even happen? So, I don't know. Hopefully Microsoft. I was going to say, hopefully Microsoft still does the May and September, and then still has something for June. Sony just had 2 in March. There's no rules to this.
No, and that's what's cool.
Whatever they want.
Yeah. And that's what's going to be cool about this going forward, is that they can change the rules now, right? They can spread it out, and maybe it's not just, it isn't just this one show that all your studios are trying to get demos for. It's when you're ready, okay, you're ready. You'll be in that show that's 3 months, down the road, and somebody else is going to be ready later, can be in a different one, and I think that'd be cool too. It's good for us too. I mean, keeps keeps the conversations going throughout the year.
Yeah, I like having a regular cadence of stuff. I actually prefer it that way, as fun as E3 is. And we actually have a community question about this too. Good old Collingwood, my man. Good old Collingwood. Commiserations to our pies. Joy and sunshine, Nick and Jesse, and belated Mother's Day greetings for John's missus. With the news that E3 won't be happening at all, there are still big gaming events happening this year. John's not here, so Abe, will you pack the family in a camper van for an August holiday in Cologne? What? Gamescom is happening? What a coincidence. And Nick, PAX Australia is on for the second week of October. Will you clear your schedule? with luck, you might be able to get some interviews for XboxEra. Good old Collingwood. Yeah, PAX Australia is on, which I was surprised to see. And PAX Australia is like, it's held where I park my car when I go to work. That's where PAX is held every year. I may try and meet up with a couple of people. Like, I might see if any of our friends, patrons, I might try and catch up with Diana, because I think she's going to be at PAX Australia. I've been in the past. It's actually not a bad show. Like a show. Not a bad event or whatever you want to call it. I don't mind PAX Australia. I may try and get down there. In terms of interviews for XboxEra, I don't know what I'll do. I'm not good at that stuff. I'm not a vox pop person. Like, maybe, you know what I'll do? Maybe I will get John to pay for, like, one of those mics that you stick into an iPhone for me. And I'll just take my iPhone around recording and talking to people and, I don't know, and see what happens. Are we robots again?
Are we?
I don't know.
Are we robots?
I just saw Somnia say robots in the chat, and I'm like, God, are we robots again?
Somnia,
Sounds fine to me.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah,
Shut up,
I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, I will try and get down to PAX if I can. But we'll see how we go. Maybe PAX takes over from E3. I don't know. Maybe PAX can start doing a stream of some sort. Maybe XboxEra could do something. I mean, me and Geoff Grubb already have the annual Christmas show. Maybe we should try and turn that into something. Maybe we should have our own, like an Xbox-focused XboxEra show thing. What do you reckon? Is that what we should build to?
We should, but it should be here in America.
Nah, don't do that. Got to think of the Aussies.
Just bring your
sometimes.
bulletproof vests.
You have to think of the Aussies sometimes. Now, the other, I guess, big news of the week. So we had heard the rumors about Spartacus being revealed. You know, I had been told, yep, we're definitely going to see the new PlayStation Plus stuff this week. Actually, you know what? That weaves into this discussion. We'll talk about that. But Sony did finally reveal their PlayStation Plus revamp. And it's funny, I saw all the talk being about how day one games aren't part of it. We knew that was coming. From back when we first heard rumors about Spartacus, they said it's not going to have day one games. There's going to be a basic tier, which is PlayStation Plus as it exists. There's going to be a higher tier, which has like the streaming with PS4 games and blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to have the highest tier, which will have retro games and yada, yada, yada. It was basically exactly what was rumored and leaked 2 months ago. So I don't know why people seem shocked about this PlayStation Plus update. It's exactly what we expected. Personally, it's meh. It just seems like, to me, I'll say the same thing now that I said back then. This just feels like PlayStation Now is kind of failing. Sony probably didn't want to ditch it. So what they did was they just merged it into PlayStation Plus, which makes total sense. Like, Microsoft has streaming as part of their subscription. Why wouldn't they just have streaming as part of theirs in tiers? To me, it makes total sense that Sony would do this. Does it suck in a way that backwards compatibility is behind a paywall? Yeah, sucks a little bit. Nintendo's done the same thing. I would have thought that, here's the thing that I don't see many people talking about, surprisingly. And this is the part that shocked me. Not the day one games, not the BC being behind a paywall, none of that stuff. Here's what shocked me. You now have this all-encompassing, all-in-one subscription, which has your streaming, your online play, your free monthly games, blah, 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 blah. Why are cloud saves still locked behind this?
Because they can.
Why? Why?
Because they can.
Make them free. Like, seriously, you have these tiers now. So, your basic tier should just be online play and a couple of free games a month. And then, because in the end, people are still playing online for COD and stuff. Like, why are cloud saves still tied behind this? This was their opportunity to make cloud saves free. Like, come on, you like.
Well, that goes to the whole point of like, I don't know. I feel like I wasn't expecting day one games. Not today.
No, that's not going to happen yet. It's going to happen. Mark my words,
so.
It's going to happen, just not yet.
Yeah, and when you hear Jim Ryan say, what is it? Only a few months ago, he was saying he wants God of War played by 100 million people. You're not going to sell 5 times more PlayStation 5s than you did 4s, right? So
that's right.
So you start doing the math. There's not that many ways to get to 100 million people playing. And I know that was that wasn't like some people say, well, it's not literal, but I think he's setting the table for their investors and for PlayStation, for kind of building the runway, right? Try to, like, in the minds of people.
He's warming them up. He's softening everyone up.
Yeah.
This is what I was alluding to on Twitter as well. He's just people. I feel for Jim. I actually feel for him. Like, he's in a weird position. I seriously do. I feel for him. Like, Jim Ryan has to think of the hardcore PlayStation fans that are all about, $70 games are art, and we want to support our developers and blah, 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 blah. So he's got to think of those people, because look at the shit fit they threw when PlayStation games came to PC. They're slowly getting used to that now. They're still not fully accepting of it. You know why? Because they haven't done day one yet.
Not yet.
With any of the big ones. So he's got to think of those hardcore fans, because people laughed at me on Twitter. Oh, you think businesses make decisions based on fans? Well, they kind of do, because fans are the ones that give them the money.
Yeah.
Like, in the end, those hardcore PlayStation fans are the ones paying for those $70 games. So yeah, they do think of the fans.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's like one of the things that really kind of, I don't want to say bothers me, because none of it bothers me. Like, gaming's great. Like, PlayStation will be fine, Nintendo will be fine doing, and I keep hearing that, but that's, like, to me, that's not the point. The point is like this whole idea, like, and I heard that over and over. It's like, well, they don't need to make a subscription like anything. It can just be the side thing in the background that doesn't mean anything, and it's a small rebrand. Blah, my question is for, like, people, for these types of narratives where it's like, oh, well, like, look at Nintendo, they're doing their own thing. Why do you want PlayStation to become Nintendo?
Yeah.
Nick, and you should be able to speak to that. Why do you want, like Nintendo, who can charge you $80 for a cardboard box, that can charge you for online play where you have to use Morse code to find your friends, right? Like that doesn't give you back any sort of, backwards compatibility, like that. It just keeps reselling you the same game over and over again. Like, why is that? Would that be a good thing? Like, I get people, like, saying, like, I want these corporations to innovate in their own ways and try to create their own, like, lanes, and because that kind of expands the amount of, innovation and people they can appeal to. But you still want to have overlap, right? To me, it's the same thing as, like, somebody in Xbox saying, well, we don't want Xbox to make any single player narrative driven games because they need to do their own thing. It's like, no, you want to see some overlap, because that's where you get other competition, right? And then you can have innovation within that lane. And Sony doesn't need to do exactly one-to-one what Microsoft is. They didn't do that with trophies, right? Like, trophies were their own spin on achievements, and they did a good job putting their own.
Yeah, I prefer trophies. I like how trophies do it.
Yeah,
I think like them more.
Some people would say they passed them up, right, over time. So, and I know that's subjective, but that's kind of the point. You still want to see that competition, and so that does kind of irk me a little bit, just because it's so pronounced. Like, if you go to, like, Twitter, and like you're saying, Nick, I do think what customers say, like, when it gets to be like a loud ramp up within the base, it does matter. We've seen that with Microsoft, right? They announced gold is going to double. They get that backlash. It's like, oh, they pulled that back in a minute. And, we've seen it with other things, so I just think that stuff does matter. And if you're going to continue to go, so if you're going to continue to, if your loudest, most passionate fans keep going, we don't want this, like, that's,
you're not going to do it.
it doesn't help, right? And the day that they announced that something like God of War is coming day one to the highest tier of whatever PlayStation has, all it does is raise the stakes for people that are on Xbox too, right? Like that helps everybody, right? So it's
if I was Microsoft, I'd be hoping Sony never does it.
Right.
If I'm Microsoft, I would be hoping that Sony never puts their games day one on PlayStation Plus.
Right.
They will, but if I'm Microsoft, I'm like, please don't. Please don't. Because Sony will gain so many more subscribers to that highest tier than what Microsoft has in Game Pass. I believe. I personally think. Because remember, if we take it from the perspective of the PS4 and the Xbox One, Sony's tapping into 100 million people.
Yeah.
Microsoft's tapping into 50 or 60.
Right.
If we take last generation's numbers, what clouds it now is the shortage and they can't get as many consoles out there. I think that's part of the reason Sony's going to hold off until they can get enough PlayStation 5s out there. Like right now, they've got about 18 million PS5s out there in the wild in people's hands. 18
PS5s?
roughly, give or take.
18. Oh, okay.
Yeah, give or take, about 18 or so. I don't know exactly the number. So if you're adding day one games to PlayStation Plus now, you can't really have more than 18 million on that highest tier because people aren't going to subscribe if they don't have a PlayStation 5, are they? Do you know what I mean? So
next gen, yeah.
It's silly to do it now.
Yeah,
and their streaming does not support and probably will never, at least not in the meantime, will not support PlayStation 5 games the same way Xbox.
And that's the other thing. The streaming doesn't support PS5 games. They don't have the streaming in a lot of countries, and there aren't a lot of PS5s out there. So they're not going to do day one now. So anyone that was expecting day one now or anytime soon, I've got news for you. It ain't going to happen. We're not going to be seeing day one games in the highest tier until, A, they have enough PS5s out there in the world to justify it, and until they can get their streaming shit together. So,
and maybe a PC store, right? Like you need the PC stuff, and probably need a.
You
PC
also
store
need the PC stuff, yes. The only exception to that rule could be if this cross-gen thing keeps going, which I don't know how much longer it's going to go for Sony. If they're still going to keep releasing games like God of War and Horizon and stuff on PlayStation 4, then I could see them going day one a little bit earlier because they've got 116 million PS4s to tap into.
Right. But we think
that's the only way. But we have no idea how much longer this crossover thing is happening for Sony. So that's the spanner in the works. But mark my words, what episode is this? 103. Feel free to bookmark it, whatever. Sony's going to put day one games into a subscription eventually. It's going to happen.
I actually agree with you on that, Nick. And actually, I've been kind of, I've been on some podcasts kind of arguing the same point. And it goes to, well, they don't need to. And I think people underestimate the impact of it when the more ubiquitous gaming does get it, the more they kind of move from it just being a console, right? And that's where Sony is today. Like they don't have a PC store. They don't have a streaming infrastructure that can go to lots of regions, to all the regions.
That's why they partnered with Microsoft.
Yeah. And
to probably get that going.
And you bring up a good point that I didn't even think about, but Insomniac has said, Spider-Man is PS5 only. So like, what are you going to do? You're going to launch God of War, and then now you're going to have only next gen, PS5 games. If that's the transition, if it's 2023 is the year they go PS5 only, now your base is, like you're saying, it's small. It's not 100 plus million. It might be, I don't know what that'd be at that time, but it's not going to be big because we know this chip shortage is going into next year. But I do think people like the one other area that I think a lot of people focused on was the virtuous.
Oh my god! When are people going to learn? Jim Ryan says what he needs to say. I've said this before. First, they were protecting the children, and that's not why they're doing crossplay. Then they added crossplay. Then they were saying who plays old games. Then they're bringing back old games. Come on, guys. We can't be that gullible. We can't be that naive. Jim will say what he needs to say at the time. So right now, he needs to appease the Twitter fanboys and all the hardcore PlayStation gamers that believe PlayStation games are art at $70. And he's going to talk about how virtuous and amazing our games are. And if we put our games on a subscription service, it's going to affect the quality. That's such garbage. Microsoft just had the greatest year in Metacritic history. And they release all their games on Game Pass. So how does that narrative fit?
They spent almost $80 billion on gaming companies in the last 2 years. It's like you don't spend. I love the thought process that they're going to spend $80 billion on games to put out dollar menu. Like we're going to cut back on development after that. Like to me, that reminds me. Like I used to wait tables like way back in the day. I remember I had 2 people come in and they asked for like a massive hot fudge, cake. And they're like, hold the whipped cream because we're on a diet.
I want this burger that's this big and large fries and onion rings, but I'll have a Diet Coke, please.
Right. It's like, it makes no damn sense. There's no business sense to doing it like that. So, and it's because like those gigantic tentpole IPs, like we've seen it with TV streaming. That's what drives people. Like nobody's subscribing to Paramount because they need a bunch of filler, right? They subscribe to Paramount because there's like 1 or 2 big shows they just got to see, and then while they're on there, maybe they'll fish around and they'll find some other shows they like. And that's how Netflix works. Like, and what happens is like if Starfield hits the way we think it will, it'll kind of raise the tide for the next game that comes in. That's there. Right. Like when Avowed hits, and if that hits the way, and we saw like last year, just Forza Horizon 5 was a $60 game, wasn't out of free to play. It had almost 20 million people on day one sharing clips on Twitter, and like I think people are just underestimating the virality of what a subscription can do for the content that's in it. That's really good, and so Sony right now does have that mind share. Like if they put God of War out there, they probably would have overnight tens of millions of customers.
Yeah, for sure.
And that would drive the next ID that's a new IP that comes out there. More people would try it, and that value would go up. But if you wait
all of
a
sudden,
years,
maybe more people try out a Concrete Genie because no one bought it. So they're like, oh, this Concrete Genie is actually pretty good. And then they might go and try out Entwined and go, wow, I ignored this Entwined game because it wasn't a third-person narrative, blah, 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 blah. But hey, now that it's on this subscription, I'm giving it a go. It's actually a pretty good game. Maybe I'll buy it because I like owning my games.
Maybe more people will pay like $70 for a car in Gran Turismo because it's in
because they didn't pay for it as part of their subscription. So maybe they'll dig into those egregious microtransactions in Gran Turismo 7. Who knows? Hey, Everborn Saga dropped a super chat. I did not know Everborn Saga actually watched this show. Thanks, mate.
Hey, what's up, Everborn?
How does that equation change once ABK closes?
Oh, that's the other part of it. So that goes with what I was just saying. That so far they've had 25 million subscribers. You're right. We think like that's what they announced, right? And that's without.
I did tell everyone it was 25.
That's without a PC store that people really think is viable, that people want to use. That's without any streaming right now, and that's with only a handful of AAA exclusives, which would have already appealed to the base. Like, there's no more Xbox AAA games than Halo and Forza, right? So you got to assume you're not going to drive subscriptions up that much because those customers are probably your early adopters to begin with. So like when you start to put out, if you fix the PC store, you close the Activision Blizzard thing and you put Call of Duty on Game Pass, you start tying in the marketing there. They fix content sharing, which is still an issue, and that holds them back. Oh my
god, don't get me started.
Like there's a lot of there's so many opportunities. Microsoft could, over the next 2-3 years, especially if the chip shortage thing, if they resolve that, you could be looking at like a kind of growth that I think people are just underestimating. And at that point, when you got all these IPs that are huge, and it's, again, if all these things hit, now all of a sudden they could take that mindshare lead that right now Sony has, and I think that is the one danger that they have by saying, we're going to wait until the entire, we're going to wait 3 years before we do it because we don't need to right now. The thing is that you can lose, like things change fast, right? Like Fortnite was a nothing burger when it launched, and now it's the big, it changed, like Epic's a superpower because of it.
Yeah.
So things change fast in gaming, and I think that is the one risk, So I think to Everborn's point, when ABK closes, it could change things drastically.
Fast. Oh yeah, for sure. It's funny, you mentioned the chip shortage. Last week, I said I had to ask permission because I said, I know why Microsoft has so much Xbox stock. Because you know how there was that like Amazon drop just recently, and they sold the most at Christmas, and they've been out selling for a few months now, at least the PlayStation 5.
Mm.
And I said, look, I actually know why there's so much Xbox stock. I'm just not sure if I'm allowed to say anything.
Right.
So I asked during the week. I'm like, can I mention this on the podcast? And last night they're like, yep, go for it. Now I'm not allowed to give all the details. And someone last week was like, is it money? It kind of is. Like what I was told was, so I think it was around April. I'm not going to open OneNote because it's going to turn me into a robot. Actually, maybe I'll open it on my phone. So just so I can make sure I'm reading out the right thing here because I don't want to get anyone in trouble. It was April. It was almost a year to the day. It was the 5th of April. I got a DM saying, Microsoft's going to have a lot of consoles available this fall. They're going to have a lot. And they did in the end, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, why is that? Microsoft paid for chip priority. I'm like, interesting. It's like, yep. Microsoft, which is what someone said last week. Was it money? Yeah, effectively it was money. Microsoft paid for chip priority at the factories, which is why we saw so much more and are still seeing so much more Xbox stock now. Why they were able to, like, think about it logically, right? Like, this shouldn't be a major shock to people. But Microsoft managed to fill server blades with Series X APUs. They managed to make a Halo limited edition console. And they managed to sell the most Xboxes. As well as, look at the stock they've got now. We're now in April and they've still got a ton of stock now. They've been flooding the market with stock. How do you think they pulled that off in the chip shortage? They paid for chip priority. So yeah, that's just, I had to hold off because I wasn't sure if I was allowed to say anything, and now I got told that I could. So that's why Microsoft, money was the reason. Microsoft paid effectively to be able to increase that production and have more stock. Yep. Which, to me, smart investment.
Yeah.
Like, this is the time to do it. Like, get stock out there. People want stock. You want more subscribers on Game Pass. You're not going to get them if people can't have a console. Like,
right.
And I understand that's why the streaming exists.
It's not ready for prime time.
Yeah. Right now, I don't think xCloud is in a position where someone's going to subscribe to Game Pass just to stream their games.
No, I don't think so.
Because the irony is, the best xCloud experience is on the console.
So, right.
and you can't get the console. So
right.
I don't think it's in a position to do that yet. So right now, your biggest driver of subscriptions is going to be that hardware. And clearly they know that, which is why they made this investment. It wasn't a topic on the show notes, but yeah.
Did you ever get any, like, because I've heard, and I don't know what the specifics are, but their attach rate's pretty good with Game Pass with new console sales.
I believe it is. And I think All Access is a big driver of that too.
Yeah, because it forces that.
Are we back? The audience dropped right off. Are we back? Something's happening.
Oh, wait. Am I? I'm looking at. I'm seeing myself moving on the screen now. There it is. Can they hear us?
Are we
Can
back?
they hear us?
Are we back? Okay, it looks like we're back.
Oh,
from what I can see, it looks like we're back.
All right, tell all your friends, come back.
How is it possible that you and John don't know how to delay Windows updates?
I have literally checked it before we went live. I checked it. It said you have no updates. Nothing pending, nothing live. All of a sudden, it just says Windows is restarting for update.
Bloody Windows 11.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
it is literally
Now-
set to be paused during the show. I have it set. Do not do
Apologies,
anything.
everyone.
Nah,
Were we still talking about PlayStation Day 1 games? We were, weren't we?
No, you were on Series X, getting restocked.
Oh, yeah, the chip priority. Yes. Well, that's funny. I saw people in the chat being like, oh, Microsoft took him out for opening his mouth. Phil just made a phone call and said, cut the stream right now. But that was sort of, that was only a deviation from what we were talking about because Abe kept mentioning chip shortage. I'm like, that reminds me, blah, blah, blah. We were sort of talking about the PlayStation Plus thing, ultimately.
Yeah.
And we did get a super chat from Somnia. Things are changing at PlayStation. Half their games will be live service. The insane budget model they build can't exist alone. That's exactly right. Like,
yeah.
For the people wondering, they're never going to put their games on day one PlayStation Plus. Have you not noticed all the multiplayer and games as a service games they're investing in and the studio? And this is, that's right. That's what I was saying before. I feel for Jim Ryan. So he has to consider the hardcore PlayStation fans, like we were talking about before, because they're the ones. He's also got to think about Sony Japan, because he probably pisses them off too with a lot of the stuff he does. So he's got to think of them as well. Modernize them and wants to keep up. Like,
He's not dumb. I mean, he knows what you can hear him. He understands the market.
And that's why I sound like a robot again.
Oh no,
I don't
robots.
sound like, I keep seeing it in the chat that I sound like a robot.
Do we all sound like robots?
I don't know. I don't.
It says Nick is an Xbot.
Hold on. I don't know what to do if I sound like a robot. I haven't done anything on my end.
Yeah, I have no idea why it's doing it. I have nothing open. So
Here, let me. Am I a robot?
it should
or
be
is
fine
it-
now.
I don't know.
All right.
Yeah,
We're
it's
fixed.
just random. It seems like it's StreamYard because the actual StreamYard thing has been messing up, and now it's going back to it.
Yeah.
Yep. It's
Yeah.
You know. Look at the chat. Everyone just
He says
keeps saying
Jesse
robot.
Jesse bot.
Yeah, it's something with StreamYard, man. I don't know why.
Oh god. But
Are we? Are mean?
I have no idea. We're gonna have to push through, I guess. It looks like it's just going back and forth. Yeah, StreamYard's being annoying. But yeah, Jim has a lot of parties to please in trying to do what he's doing, and he's doing it all in a very slow and purposeful way. Like, he needs to do these things slowly. So the way I assume it's going to happen is he will probably start by saying, okay, you know, he'll start what they've done now. You know, God of War is going to be on this, and Spider-Man's going to be on this, and Ratchet and Clank and Returnal, or not Ratchet and Clank, Returnal's going to be on this, and all that sort of stuff. So they'll probably start by maybe doing an EA Play type thing, where the games appear 6 months to a year later.
Yeah, I think so.
Because then the $70 people will buy them straight away, knowing that they can't wait a year for the game to come to the streaming service. I can.
Still get their art.
I'll just wait a year for those games to come. There's no multiplayer population to worry about.
Right.
When the time comes, I'll get it on the subscription service. But eventually, you will see their day one games appearing on there, because everyone's like, they can't afford it. Yes, they can. Like, if they've got 50 million people subscribing to the highest tier, you know how much money that is per month that they're getting? Like, that's huge. Like, that pays for 2 or 3 Last of Us's in a month.
Right. And
Like-
then you don't need, because right now, like, their model has been like, they went, you think about, they had a couple big games in 2020, and then, you know, you had a smaller version of Spider-Man come out at launch, and, you know, in a Demon Souls remake. But, like, there was gaps. Like, you just kind of think about it. There's been big gaps, and it's like, for any corporation to have like consistent revenue, the consistency is almost worth more than the potential of higher upside, but doing that all the time, because you can't invest the same way. And then, like we said, it's going to drive the value of the other IPs, and also we haven't even seen it at this point. We haven't seen that it kills overall game sales. So I think when you get to it'll start to cannibalize the first party, I think, for Microsoft when they get to a certain level. But the thing is, by then you're just making so much money you don't care, right? So it's just like you're winning either way. So that's the thing with that.
But yeah, so that was a lengthy discussion with a lot of
interruptions. It was. Yeah.
But in news that kind of sort of relates to this, because obviously there's been a lot of discussion lately about comparing PlayStation Plus to Game Pass, even though let's be honest, there's no comparison. And isn't it funny? I get disappointed when I see outlets like IGN and GameSpot make charts that compare Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, and then just conveniently leave out the one thing that makes it a no contest, which is day one games. Like, how do you leave that out? It's literally the reason Game Pass is so much better.
It's like comparing the Chipotle to the McDonald's dollar menu. It's like, well, you don't even know what food without talking about what food you're getting, does it even matter?
It's just, I don't know. I get disappointed when I see stuff like that. But as our friend Jez reported on Windows Central, something we've all been screaming for years is that Game Pass appears to be getting a family plan, which is amazing news. Like, here we are in a world where Netflix wants to crack down on password sharing, and then Microsoft's like, nah, don't worry about it. Family plan for Game Pass, which is, absolutely can't wait. Also got a sneaking suspicion that Game Pass family plan's probably going to be a lot cheaper than people think. I reckon Microsoft's going to go for volume here. I reckon they're going to go aggressive and they're going to go for the throat.
That's the question.
And they're going to go cheap with this family plan. Or I shouldn't say cheap. Cheaper than we are probably expecting with this Game Pass family plan, I reckon.
Now Britt says like MS uses a targeted 2.5 cost for family plans. Like, and I think comparing it to like what they've done with Windows and all that, do we think it's going to be cheaper than that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. My prediction is that game plans are probably going to be robots when we come back to.
Might as well.
Plug my mic.
Yeah. So I think we're back now.
Oh, are we back? Okay.
I
hear you.
So for everyone watching, Abe's not quite aligned properly. I don't know why. Jesse, if you can see that. But Jesse is having massive lightning storms where he is. So there's every chance that this stuff's going to keep happening for the rest of the episode. So apologies for that.
We'll try to go through fast.
Yeah, I've never seen this many issues happen with just one episode. But yeah. So,
family plan.
Family plan. Price. We've been wanting a family plan with Game Pass for ages. It's great that it seems like it's happening. As I said, I believe it's going to be way cheaper than people think. I think Microsoft's going to go for very high volume on this.
Oh no, we froze again, didn't we?
No,
okay,
don't say
we're
that.
back. Okay, we're back. Okay.
But yeah, maybe we did. I don't know. People are laughing, so maybe we did.
A false
Anyway, that's the Game Pass. See, I'm flustered now because I don't know if it's gonna go again on us or not.
Yeah, we'll just keep going.
Oh man, this is just so annoying.
This is show business, Nick. Now, the one thing
this is the worst.
The one thing I will say though about the Game Pass family plan thing, like, because I think even in our forums, I kind of heard people saying, well, they can't, it's going to cost them money, or like, how are they going to do that? Because Netflix is pushing it. I think Netflix is only trying to break it apart now because they're hitting a maturation kind of point within their service, I think, where they kind of topped out. When you're in growth mode, you just want the exposure, right? Like I think about it with my family. My daughter is not like a hardcore gamer, but occasionally she will. Like occasionally I'll get her to join me in a game or try something out and she'll like it. She's 16 going on 17 and she's got her boyfriend, games and stuff like that. I think of it as like, if I had a family plan, I just throw her on there, maybe her boyfriend jump on there. And it's like, and the thing is now you can, you start creating new gamers, right? Especially within families. It's like, I might as well just get her, if she wants a Series S in her room or something like that, throw that in there and throw her on the plan. And it's like, yeah, join us. And I don't know, like I don't play Sea of Thieves, but I'll find something, something for us to play together.
Who plays Sea of Thieves?
I know.
No one plays Sea of Thieves.
I know John's not here.
No one plays Sea of Thieves.
We'll find a good game. We'll find a good game that we can all play together. I'm just kidding. I know people love that.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, everyone's... God, Jesse's camera's even out.
Yeah, he's popped back in again, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, we're back again.
Are we? I don't think so.
Yeah, I see us moving again.
I give up.
We're back. We're back.
I give up. So, guys, we're probably going to... I'm sorry, but we're probably going to need to cut the show early because this is going to keep happening clearly. And we can't talk to Jesse right now, I don't think. So, I don't know.
Very well.
Yeah, so in the interests of time, I'm going to try and do this real goddamn quick. Okay. Game Pass Ultimate's like 15, 16 Australian. I reckon it'll probably go, the family plan will probably go to $20 a month, Australian, probably, which is a $5 increase because Microsoft already does family stuff anyway with like Office 365 and that sort of thing, so they're no stranger to that. So I reckon the family plan will probably go to $20 Australian a month. I don't know what that is US.
Just clarify, Nick, before anybody quotes you online. That's a prediction, not a...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it'll be. I don't know. I haven't been told what the price will be. I didn't even know it's a real thing. No one... It's Jez's article thing. It's not mine. I'm just saying what I think it'll be. Now, okay. I don't know if Jesse's ready or not. Jesse cut the show early, because it's going to keep cutting out on us. And we're robots. We're robots again. So I don't know. Jesse, can you tell us if you're ready for the Rumourmill? Do you want to play the video?
Rumourmill, we've never heard that before. It's the Rumourmill. Things change, we can't be sure. It's the Rumourmill. You know they may not come true. The XboxEra podcast is not responsible.
It's all good.
Okay. Now. So, I'm going to try and get this out quick because we're going to get cut off again or we're going to end up as robots. So, I did, in my interest of trying to get more confirmation of stuff with my rumors, I reached out to iFireMonkey about this one because someone came to me with more Fortnite rumors, which I know everyone loves. They love their Fortnite rumors. So what I was told was that the Captain Americas, all three Captain Americas are going to be coming to Fortnite. And I was like, what? All three? It took me a while to jerry to what he was talking about, which is obviously traditional Captain America, Sam, as in Falcon Captain America, and what's her name? Peggy? Is it Peggy? I can't remember what her name is. Agent Carter. It wasn't in What If.
We're back.
I just don't know how long it's gonna last.
I was
So
just
yeah,
gonna say
3 Captain Americas. I ran it by iFire Monkey, who said that he found. Oh, we're robots. I don't care. 3 Captain Americas. I ran it by iFire Monkey, who found some artwork showing the 3 Captain Americas, which sort of alluded to the 3 Captain Americas. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to run with it anyway. All 3 Captain Americas are coming to Fortnite. I don't care if we're robots. That's the Rumourmill. 3 Captain Americas coming to Fortnite.
bye.
What else? Sorry, guys. Community questions. I'm sorry. Not going to bother with community questions because we're just going to keep getting cut off. So thanks to all our patrons as well. We're probably not going to be able to do the ticker because everything's just going to get cut off. We don't have time for everything. So we're going to have to be really, 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 really quick. We made it to an hour and a half, barely. So very, very sorry to everyone. We can try to keep going, but it's probably just going to keep getting cut off.
How about we do this? We this will be the next time we cut off is goodbye. So maybe we'll just keep going.
How about that? Look at that. We'll keep going, but the next time we cut off is going to have to be goodbye because I feel sorry for Jesse now, and clearly this is going to keep happening while there is lightning storms where he is in Florida. So the next time we cut off, we're probably going to have to say goodbye the next time we cut off. If that hasn't happened already. So that was the Rumourmill. Apparently 3 Captain Americas are coming to Fortnite, probably to coincide with Multiverse movie. Would make sense.
It doesn't matter. When we're out, we're done. So we'll just keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Do we bother trying to go to the community questions, or do we just hope we get through a few as we were talking about stuff?
We could do a few and just see what happens, right? And like I said, get in the middle and we're done, then that's it.
Maybe. I'm a robot again, so this is a disaster of an episode. Absolute disaster. And everyone's going to be like, see, that's what happens when John doesn't host. It's got nothing to do with the John hosting or not hosting.
They're going to think I'm the bad luck. It's like, oh, look at every time Abe shows up.
I don't know.
Every time Abe shows up, something goes wrong.
All right. You know what? Let's just try and burn. Don't even worry, Jesse, about bringing up the community question.
Don't move.
I'll figure it out.
Don't move the antenna. Wherever your wires are.
Let's just try and burn through these as fast as possible. Okay. DirtyFlint. Hey, John and Human Trash Polnick. I noticed last week you got 3 questions in a row, starting with you wake up. Was there any fear you were in a coma and this was your subconscious trying to wake you? No. The problem is that every time big news happens, I am sleeping. So I wake up to stuff constantly. It's very, very frustrating for me. Okay. ShadowlessEdge. Getting in early. Hey team, can't help with all the Sony news around Nick this week, but to ask if you have seen a series of animated shorts from the late 00s about a young boy who is mistaken to be the world's #1 action movie star, Dr. Tran. Great short animations that gave me a good laugh when I revisited them a few weeks back. I especially invite Nick to watch a short called Dr. Tran Male, Season 1, Episode 6, Keith Cares, as I think it is something that would strongly resonate with him regarding his so-called involvement in the news this week. Anyways, a good topic of discussion came up around cheesing in some of my circles this week, and I wanted to get both of your thoughts on it. Cheesing is video game slang for beating tasks or enemies through tactics, while not exactly cheating, are certainly not following Queensberry rules. Firstly, what are your thoughts on cheesing? And secondly, have you ever partaken? Keep up the great show. Yes, cheesing is the best, and I do it a lot in Streets of Rage, where I can just sit there and just tap someone till they die without having to actually play it properly.
Yeah, I think there's a loose definition on cheesing. I feel like in every single Dark Souls game, these Soulsborne stuff, I feel like there's a way to cheese a lot of those bosses. Yeah. And if it is there, it's in the game. It's fair, right? So, by the way, Nick, I did the new Game Plus. It is like the revenge. It's like the revenge tour.
Yeah.
Going
I
through
probably
that
will.
first half of those bosses.
I reckon we're
But,
robots again.
wait.
We're robots again.
Oh no, son of a bitch.
We've got to burn through these. And CreakeyLegs, I hate what you've done right now. Okay, Big Low 25. With E3 being cancelled, are they still going to do their E3 show like last time? Or are the rumour of 2 showcases you told us about last time, are they now back? Cheers and keep up the great work. Damn, we should have read this during the show. Maybe those shows will be back. I'm not sure. I hope so. But we sort of talked about this before.
Yeah, we talked about it. Hopefully they do some spiritual
CreakeyLegs. Oh my god. What is this thing, CreakeyLegs? This is so long. Hello all. I was wondering why people have such a problem with Master Chief taking his helmet off. I mean, Nick is a beautiful man. Why spend millions of dollars to hide that face behind a mask all the time? Bruce Wayne isn't always show a lot. I'm glad it's not a paint by numbers or books of the games. God, if it was the games, it would be way more thin on actual story. Oh my god. Because we're in a hurry, I can't read all of this. There's so much. This is a thesis. It's basically about what we were talking about before. About the Halo show and what we think and da-da-da-da. Oh my god, there's a thesis here. And I can't read all of this given how quick we have to be. It's like full on. So, sorry, CreakeyLegs. We're in a hurry, and you got our thoughts on Halo before. We were talking about it at length.
Well,
Sorry.
just to elaborate,
So
me and the panel actually, and you had me at Halo yesterday. We actually had a discussion on this stuff. I tend to be we had a split, so I'll just say that. So if people want to kind of like listen to that, they can get a decent debate on it. I'm not. I'm fine with Master Chief taking his helmet off. I don't feel like he feels like the Master Chief underneath the helmet, though, which some people are fine with the show. But I am over robots again. Okay, that was. Did you? Oh shit!
I was just listening to how he sounds. It's so funny.
Oh man, this sucks. This sucks. All right, this is like the worst technical. Yeah, it was good until.
Okay, morventhus. I hope you're doing well. As usual, pick one or both. Worst gaming fear. What is it? Or worst non-gaming fear. We've had this question before. My worst non-gaming fear is like those unstable services. Worst gaming fear? My worst gaming fear already came true. Sega left the console industry. That already happened. What about you, Abe?
Gaming fear? Man, I'm just not afraid of too much. I mean, we're just making up stuff right now. I mean, I think if any of the big platforms today went under, that would obviously suck. I like the competition. Non-gaming from my kids, so that's it. I'm boring on that, but that's all we got.
I don't know, Jesse hasn't. I don't know. Maybe I can try figure out a way to fix this because now I want to fix it. Now,
do we just retire the show? I don't know.
Does that count? Am I still a robot? Everyone? Can you tell me? Am I still a robot?
This is.
Come on, chat. Tell me if I'm still a robot. No one's saying anything. Am I still a robot? Someone say something. Okay, I'm not a robot anymore. Oh my god, thank you.
Good.
What about Abe? Is Abe a robot?
Am I a robot?
Is Abe a robot? I fixed it. Good. I'm the best. I'm not even the producer and I fixed it. I am the best.
What did you do? All right.
Oh, now it's gone back. It looks like it's gone back.
All right. Maybe we should just say
I thought I fixed it. How many more questions are there? Oh my god, there's so many more questions. And
I think we're going to be
robots for the entire thing.
Why don't you save the questions for the next show? Anything that we didn't answer.
Yeah, look, I think, look, I'm sure our patrons that have asked all these questions will understand why. Because this has been an unmitigated disaster. It has been an unmitigated disaster. So we are going to have to cut the show off and hope that Jesse has better weather next time.
Florida weather. Son of a bitch.
It is what it is. We squeezed in a Rumourmill. We talked about some stuff. We got some community questions out. We did our best. So, right now, we don't know what Jesse is doing. Yeah. Jesse, I know you can hear me and you can see me. I am making an executive decision. And I am reading StreamYard chat. I know I am reading StreamYard chat, but the problem is the entire podcast, we are sounding like robots. So yeah, that is why I am making an executive decision and I am cutting the show off early because as funny as it sounds, hearing the entire pod after
it's gonna
it's
I
funny.
think by now
the 2 seconds I keep hearing it on my phone, it makes me laugh very, very much. It's quite funny, but kind of draining. So
right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes. Thanks for understanding, hopefully. Yeah. But unfortunately we have to go. Abe, sorry that this is the episode.
it's all good.
Yeah. So with that, I was just about to say, with that, I'm going to say ciao for now. Autobots roll out. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Very, very sorry. But yeah, see you all next week. Autobots, roll out.